So let's take this a step further now. I mean, what I've said from the beginning is this. I don't know all the facts, neither do you, but you know more than me. Clearly, you were there. I don't know whether this is self-defense or not, but here's what I do know, and you could tell me if you agree or not, Brendan. He shouldn't have been there. First of all, he shouldn't have had that gun. We know that was illegal. He shouldn't have been there. I mean, it'd be one thing if his father owned a business there and he was in front of the business, but that's not the case. You know, my opinion is the mother was irresponsible. He was irresponsible. He shouldn't have been there. And now look at the situation we're in. Would you agree with that premise, whether it was self-defense or not?
I will say that, yeah, to be crossing state lines to come defend property that isn't yours, nor is it like a close family member or friends, you know, I don't understand why there's a high schooler over there at these protests at night at, 1 a.m. or the exact time that incident happened. That's just very, very atypical. And I've covered a lot of these protests. You don't typically see people that age out that late, certainly not openly with firearms.
Sure.
That's just,
absolutely,
really, really not really appropriate for these situations.
Yep, absolutely. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Brendan Gutenschwager. He is an independent video journalist. He was there in Kenosha. Before we move on to Rand Paul, I want to ask you a little bit about Portland. I know you weren't there, but again, it's the same opinion that I have. It's not the argument that these Trump caravans couldn't be there, right? We know they have the First Amendment right; they're allowed to be there. But now we're learning that the police department over there did everything they could to try to stop them from coming. And my opinion is the same thing. You shouldn't have been there because I don't think you're doing any good. If anything, you're going to make the situation worse. If you want to have a Trump rally, do it anywhere you want to, but that's probably the last place you should have done it, certainly at that time. And now we have another person dead, and I don't know what the circumstances are with that death. Don't know if it was self-defense. Don't know if it was murder. But again, here's what I do know. They were agitators, just like the BLM. Some of those protesters are agitators as well. There's no question. But you're only going there. It's only going to make the matters worse. You've covered a lot of these protests, Brendan. Would you agree with that premise?
Yeah, so actually, and I had just been in Portland right before Kenosha, so I'm not even entirely shocked to see this level of escalation because just the week prior, there was a massive standoff with a group of Trump supporters / Back the Blues / just kind of the more conservative / right-wing groups versus the Black Lives Matter, the Antifa, the socialist groups. And they had gotten in quite a few clashes where they were physically brawling, macing each other, pepper spraying each other. And that was just on Saturday, August 22nd, so it was about a week ago.
Wow.
And so, yeah, the problem is that you have these groups that come to the same location. That was all in downtown Portland as well, basically the same spot that this new Portland shooting happened. And it's just such a tough line to walk because on one hand, you're right, like the First Amendment, every one of these groups has the right to be out there if they're peacefully protesting. But the tensions are so high in this country right now that one of those groups sees members of the other groups, and there's immediately that hatred, there's immediately that animosity, and it just creates these problems. So, I mean, yeah, would separating the groups and putting them in different locations help? Yes, but at the same time, how do you do that and still respect people's First Amendment rights? That's an extremely tough call.